Ahoy! Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoy this production. So I started this YouTube channel because I was scrolling on my mobile device and I realized I was getting fatter and fatter by watching TikTok after TikTok. And when did it end? It needed to stop. So I deleted that scourge off my phone and I had no social media for a month, and it shows. Hence, I turned to reading tomes of knowledge instead, and I will now start my book review. Okay, so the first book I read this month was Slaughterhouse-Five, or The Children's Crusade by Kurt Vonnegut, and I feel like a real hero for finishing this book because I actually physically checked it out from the library, and when I was in the library, I saw two of my bio classmates studying the test I was actively putting off, and that was really humiliating because my shoe was also untied. So anyways, I did finish this book. Okay, so this is a non-linear anti-war book, and we follow our protagonist Billy Pilgrim as he time travels between three segments of his life. His adult life as an optometrist in upstate New York, his life as a prisoner of war in Dresden during World War II, and his life as a human captive on the planet Tralfamadore, where he's captured by 3-foot tall aliens. And I personally really can't pretend to have an educated take on this book. I will say I think this very "is it ethical to euthanize Peepaw" spirit of the book really captured, I guess, the banality and senselessness of war. And here I have my favorite quote for you, Addie. Let's see. Everything is supposed to be very quiet after a massacre, and it always is, except for the birds. And what do the birds say? All there is to say about a massacre, things like "puruwit." The only thing I will say now is that whenever I eat a candy bar, I think of Billy Pilgrim's fat-ass fiance just sitting on that chair, shoveling Mars bars into her mouth, and thinking, wow, that's gonna be me someday. So thanks for that, Kurt Vonnegut. I give this book 3 out of 5 stars. Okay, so the next book we have is The Vampire Lestat, which is the sequel to Interview with the Vampire. And in this book, we follow Louis Maker Lestat from his life as a young lord from a noble family declining in power in pre-revolutionary France to his short sojourn as an actor in Paris to his transformation as a vampire and him grappling with the horrors of his newfound existence every night as he tries to find the meaning of his newfound existence. Okay, that took way too long for me to summarize, but that being said, do you see the length of this tome and the small size of this text? You know, I think 200 pages of this could be cut down. We just got Lestat some mood stabilizer for that BPD because Jesus Christ. I mean, this is basically the DSM, what is it, 5? I was just reading through this and I was like, oh God. I wish they had therapy back then because, everyone said, I hate this one of the series. I think this is the most boring book yet in the series. I actually found it quite fascinating. Only because Lestat just makes poor decision after poor decision, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe someone would do that. And you know what? It made for a very entertaining text, and it was actually very heartwarming, and the online people were right, quite humanizing for Lestat after that very scornful first book. And you know what? I give this a 4 out of 5. It was pretty solid. If you come some more notes, I actually quite enjoyed the flowery language in this book. It's definitely not for everyone, but I like melodramatic stuff, so this was great. And I think this book also did a really great job at capturing vampiric life because, Jesus Christ, there were some times where I was really engaged. I think Lestat's first backstory we have in the first, I think, 2 sections, his relationship with Nikki and the Armand part, of course, but sometimes I wanted to throw myself into the fire like Magnus because, Jesus, it was really boring.
That said, if you did enjoy the first installment of this series, I would highly encourage you to read the second one and not skip over it. There's really important lore. So yeah, 4 out of 5.
So the next book I finished up was The White Album by Joan Didion, and these are just a series of essays about America in the 60s, its values, and Didion's role as a cultural icon within the 60s. I will say, I think this book did do a great job of capturing the spirit of the 60s, that kind of endless climb towards nothing in the end. And as a California native, of course, Didion wrote mainly about California in this album, and I read this while on vacation in LA, and I think that was the perfect way to experience this book. I mean, that chapter about the Getty, going there, I felt like I was in Disneyland, which is really stupid to say, but she really hypes up the Getty here, I was really excited. Overall, I thought the prose in this book was beautiful. I was pretty engaged for a nonfiction book the whole time, which is really impressive, and I give this a 4 out of 5 stars. So my last complete read in December was Squire, which is a graphic novel by Sara Alfaji and Nadia Shamas, and 5 out of 5. This was the best thing I've read all month, and it's definitely a highlight of the year. So this book is set in the Middle East or Northern Africa, and I'd say medieval times, and we follow Isa, who is a young girl, and she is an ethnic minority in the empire she lives in. And in order to gain full citizenship in the empire, she enlists as a knight squire in the military. And Isa actually does really well, and she achieves her goal of becoming a squire. But then she realizes it's not worth it to have this success and turn against her own people and be another cog in the colonial machine. And so she does the badass thing, and she kind of fights the system. And okay, so the general gripe I have with graphic novels in general is they have really great characterization and, of course, amazing art, but the plot is always doo-doo. But I'd say this was not the case with Squire. As you see, we have 2 authors listed here, and one was the artist and one was an actual author who worked on the storyline. And with those 2 worlds colliding, you have amazing art and amazing story. I have to say, Isa is definitely my favorite protagonist from this year, I'd say. She's such a brave and complex and spirited female protagonist. She's a well-written female character, which we don't see very often, or at least one I personally like or enjoy reading about. And of course, the general themes of the story I thought were really cool. And the setting itself and the art, 10 out of 10. I loved this, and you should give it a read. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed.